Our environment and the Earth's resources undergo a process of constant change in response to natural forces and human activity. Observation of the planet from space via satellite is the most efficient means to monitor these changes and assess their environmental, social and economic consequences. Ever since the beginning of the 80s, INPI, the National Institute of Space Research, has worked on research and development of satellite technology for remote sensing, environmental data collection and scientific applications. INPI's activities form part of the National Programme of Space Activities coordinated by the Brazilian Space Agency. In cooperation with other countries, INPI executes entire programs involving the design, construction and testing of satellites and ground systems. Two recent results of such cooperation by INPI are CBERS1, the China-Brazil Earth Resources Satellite, and SACI-1, the Scientific Applications Microsatellite. The CBERS program is part of an unprecedented binational initiative for scientific and technological cooperation in space between two developing countries. In July 1988, the governments of China and Brazil started the development of two satellites for remote sensing and environmental data collection. The CBERS-1 and 2 satellites provide global coverage through the use of cameras for optical observation of the Earth and environmental data collection systems designed for the monitoring of terrestrial ecosystems. The Chinese side of the program is carried out by CAST, the Chinese Academy of Space Technology, whose headquarters are in Beijing. CAST develops, assembles and tests satellites and components. The Chinese are responsible for the CCD and infrared cameras, thermal control, satellite monitoring and control, and orbit control systems, and launching. The Brazilian side is coordinated by INPI with the collaboration of various Brazilian companies from the private sector. Brazil is responsible for the mechanical structure, the power supply, the system for transmission of data on satellite operation, the data collection system, the wide field imager, and the manufacture of onboard computers. Despite the division of responsibilities, technicians from both countries take an active part in all phases of the project. In November 1993, the President of China, Jiang Zemin, visited INPI to take a close look at the work being done in Brazil on the development of CBERS. In 1995, President Fernando Henrique Cardoso visited China during the integration and test phase of CBERS-1 and saw the cooperation between Chinese and Brazilians. After 11 years of work in China and Brazil, the first CBERS satellite is ready for launching. CBERS satellites are placed in orbit by the Chinese Long March 4 rocket. The launch center is located in the province of Shanxi, 800 kilometers southwest of Beijing. The large payload capacity of the Long March 4 permits multiple satellite launching. Thanks to this capacity, SACI-1, Brazil's first scientific applications satellite, can be carried into orbit by the same rocket as CBERS-1. SACI-1, a lightweight satellite of 60 kilos, evolved out of INPI's program for the development, manufacture and testing of small low-cost satellites for short-duration missions. Since 1994, a total of $4,600,000 has been invested in the SACI project, entirely financed by FINEPI, the financing agency for studies and projects of the Ministry of Science and Technology. The project has the support of FUNCACI, the Foundation for Space Science, Applications and Technology, and the collaboration of researchers from various Brazilian and foreign institutions. The first satellite in the series carries 4 scientific payloads for experiments selected by the Brazilian Academy of Science. These experiments study plasma bubbles which interfere in satellite operation, ionospheric luminescence, solar and anomalous cosmic rays, and the Earth's magnetic field. The 50-meter-high, 250-ton Long March 4 launching rocket has been used by China since 1988. It has already placed in orbit scientific experiment payloads and communications and meteorological satellites. CBERS1 is released into orbit from the last stage of the rocket at an altitude of 778 kilometers. The onboard computer starts positioning maneuvers and deployment of the solar panels. Soon after initial tests, the satellite starts transmitting images to receiving stations in China and Brazil. 26 seconds after the release of CBERS1, SACI-1 is placed in orbit at the same altitude of 778 kilometers. SACI-1 deploys its panels and starts recording scientific data which will be retransmitted to ground stations. The CBERS program and the launching of the CBERS-1 and SACI-1 satellites prove that geographical distance and differences in language and culture pose no barriers to two countries with a common goal of developing leading-edge technology for peaceful ends. It also bears witness to the determination of the governments of Brazil and China and the dedication of their technical teams in the quest for the economic and social benefits of space research.